Hello everyone, welcome back to Leanne's Crafty Cupboard. Today I'm stitching my own hair, and this is a little piece that's part of the Big Little Stitchery swap that was hosted by Arty Farty Annie Claxton, and I haven't fully participated in the swap because I just don't have the time. However, I really wanted to make a square for Christine of Create and Craft with Christine because, well, it's just a little gesture as a way of saying thank you towards the gorgeous little gift she'd sent me. So if you haven't already seen the video about that, I do encourage you to have a look at this incredible little slow stitch gift that Christine had put together for me. It's very sweet. And it's all been put together with coordinated papers and containers, and it was just such a surprise to open that and see it so thoughtfully put together. So when I heard about the swap and Christine said she was participating, I knew straight away I wanted to make a square. And so I finished stitching my hair. So it's a little square that shows me watching Christine, and her video that I'm watching is of her making hexagons. So quite often Christine will make hexagons using Epiflex templates, and she has a tutorial about using those as well, and she does really creative, interesting things with these little hexagons. And so I'm just doing a little running stitch over those hexagons now. So that's what's featuring on my laptop screen that I'm watching in the Stitchery. You can see looking on there, I've already stitched little Travis. I love watching Christine's videos and hearing all about Travis, the Labrador's adventures, and his walks and his treats and the things that he gets up to. And so when you're sitting and watching Christine's videos, not only do you get to see really interesting pieces being stitched, but she just brings to a whole new world to us as well. Just putting the edge around my laptop screen now to set off the YouTube video. And here we can see in the corner the Eiffel Tower, because this is another thing that Christine brings to life when she's chatting away as she stitches, sharing all her travel stories and her adventures overseas and throughout Australia. And so I had to stitch the Eiffel Tower in. I'm just putting some sea foam now on some waves, because sometimes on Australian holidays we see Christine travelling to beautiful coastal and rural locations in Australia. Very relaxing scenery and, tales of her holidays to be shared and enjoyed along with her stitching. Now I'm stitching my embroidery hoop, and I'm just using chain stitch for this. So I usually do pick up a piece of sewing and stitch along. I love it when other YouTubers keep me company as I'm working on a piece. And so I'm getting my embroidery hoop ready here. So my hair that you saw me stitching earlier was just 2 strands of DMC thread in a satin stitch, and now I'm using 2 strands of thread to make the chain stitch to make the hoop. I tend to usually stitch with two strands. I think the Eiffel Tower I did in 1 to give the ironwork a more delicate appearance, because it's such a small scale. I've been really stunned how much you can fit into one little 10 centimetre square. I knew straight away what I wanted to stitch, and that and to sort of immortalise that enjoyment that Christine brings for me and so many other viewers, that we get to sort of sit and spend time with her. She's so generous in the stories that she tells and the things that she shares, and it honestly does feel like we've formed a friendship online in this way. And it's nice when you often stitch alone to have this company as you're working. Now around the Eiffel Tower you can see my attempt at stitching cosmos flowers, because that was another thing that I remember from Christine's videos, her talking about her back garden, and she had mentioned either in the video or in the comments that she had cosmos growing. Now I'm not sure what colour cosmos were in Christine's garden, but the ones in my garden over the years have been pink, and so I grew some lovely tall pink cosmos around the Eiffel Tower there as well, including Christine's garden. Christine will often talk about Travis, being near her or looking up at her or as she's working, and so it feels like he's there in the room with me as well, happily looking on. All right, so that's my hoop finished, and it's time to move on to something else. Okay, so now it's time to add in some elements from my garden as well. So I'm stitching the little feathery bits that are on the top of lavender. I'm popping some lavender down here in the corner, and I'm stitching these the same way that I stitched the lavender in my little needle book that I made to go in my Victorian sewing box as part of Roxy's Journal of Stitchery Volume 4 Treasure Hunt. So for that treasure hunt project, instead of working on a flat piece, I decided to create something I can use, and so I'm using all the prompts to embellish the sides of a Victorian workbox, and I had made a needlebook to go in it. So I'll also link that video in the comments below if you've not seen that one. So I'm just using a basic sort of ribbon stitch here to do the little feathers on the top of the lavender. Okay, now it's time to add in the little flowery bits of the lavender itself, and I'm just using Appleton wool, I think, and just doing little French knots, a couple of wraps to make the lavender flowers all the way down the stem. This was an incredible project that Annie came up with, wasn't it? It's been so amazing seeing all the squares that people have been swapping all around the world, back and forth. Really, really lovely. Okay, now to the part that I've been putting off to the end because I'm a little intimidated by it, and that's stitching my cheeky puss. Stitch my little cat who likes to sleep in the lavender. It's really cute. I'll come home from work in the afternoon and there he'll be. You can't see him, you just hear a funny little meow peeking out from the lavender bush, so that's really, really sweet. Sorry for that noise, it was just a low-flying plane. So I'm just, with Cheeky I decided just to give this sort of basic details, I guess, of his face, so his little eyes and nose and mouth, and then a few sort of stitches to represent the stripes in his fur and the position of his ears. So I'm just starting off with the eyes. So all of these elements I drew on in the first place with a pen that will disappear in water. So the little pale blue pieces that you can see are that disappearing pen that will disappear with washing. So I just sort of sketched out all the details first that I wanted to stitch in. I wasn't sure what I would be able to achieve and how much I could include, so I also left a slightly bigger border around the outside as well, just to sort of give me something more to hang on to as I'm working. And not knowing what Christine wants to do with the pieces, I thought that way she's got a bit of flexibility with what she wants to do with the piece if there's sort of excess around there. Yes, I'm going to keep stitching his face and I'll come back and chat some more in a minute. I've just used some Inktense pencils, and this is a water brush just to melt the pencil, melt the ink, and use that as a bit of a colour wash in the background. I find these water brushes really, really helpful. I just actually put the brush straight onto the tip of the pencil and get some ink that way and spread it around, so giving a little colour wash behind the tower and the cosmos. Now, I've used this technique on different fabrics, testing it out, and it works best on calico or homespun. There must be something in the fabric when it's manufactured that stops it from running, stops the ink from running. If you do the same thing on a poly cotton, you'll find it just instantly runs away, whereas I find it stays where I place it. Just giving a blue background on the fabric in my embroidery hoop as well. A bit of green in behind the lavender. Oh, my Cheeky's fast asleep. And Travis is poking out to say hi. Just adding a little bit of extra colour to Cheeky. I decided not to overstitch it because it's just such a small piece, and just to leave those sort of details. Now I'm just cutting some little bobbins for my thread to go around. I think as sewers we always have bits and bobs of thread, cotton reels and bobbins laying out around us. I'm just cutting a little bobbin shape. This is actually one of my little paper hexagons. Okay, so now it's about time I got stitching in my hoop, isn't it? Instead of just sitting around watching YouTube all day, I have to join in. So what I'm stitching on is one of my little crochet flowers. So this little flower I've crocheted on a video before. If you're interested in seeing it, it was the flower pot prompt for Roxy's Journal of Stitchery Volume 3, Down the Garden Path. So I'll put that video in the comments as well. In the description box. There you go. Just stitched it down with a little button. And that little button came from the jar of buttons that Christine had sent me in my beautiful gift. Put some thread on the bobbins. And there we have it, the little square all finished. So me sitting with my hoop, stitching away happily as I'm watching Christine create hexagons and bringing a world alive to me as I listen to her tales of Travis, the dog, and the adventures, her travels throughout the world, including France, her garden with cosmos flowers blossoming, and a little trip away to see the sea. Thanks for watching, everyone. See you next time.